Prediction markets are just these incredible tools for seeing into the future, right? But they've got this paradox right at their very core. See, to predict what's going to happen, you first need a rock-solid way to agree on what has happened. And that fundamental problem of just determining the simple truth, well, it turns out it's surprisingly tricky. Okay, let's get into it.
You know, it's one thing if you're asking about the price of a stock. That's easy. You just check the data feed. But what about the really complex, juicy questions, like, will this new law actually achieve its social goals? There's no API for that. There's no single number you can just look up. And that is the huge question we're going to tackle today.
For so many of the events that really matter in the world, the outcome isn't some clean, simple number. It's subjective. It's ambiguous. It requires, actual human interpretation. And for any system trying to automatically pay out winners and losers, that ambiguity is a total deal breaker. If you can't agree on the outcome, the market just falls apart. And this problem, it's what forced some of the most fascinating innovations in the entire space.
So, to solve this whole subjective truth puzzle, the industry basically split into two different camps. The first camp, they put all their faith in machines, fully automated computer systems, or oracles. And the second camp? They went the other way and trusted a small, central group of human experts to make the final call. And, as you're about to see, neither approach was quite right.
So you've got these two totally opposite philosophies, right? Pure automation versus total human control. Let's break down the big trade-offs that come with each one. On one side, you have the fully automated systems. They're awesome for simple, objective data, but the second you throw any real nuance at them, they just fall apart. Plus, what happens if the data source itself gets manipulated? That's a huge vulnerability. Then on the other side, you've got the centralized experts. Yeah, they're fast and they can handle complexity, but you're basically putting all your trust in one small group. That creates a massive single point of failure and makes the whole thing really vulnerable to outside pressure or even censorship.
Okay, so seeing these really obvious flaws, a new idea started bubbling up. What if you didn't have to choose? What if you could get away from the rigid black and white logic of machines and the fallible judgment of a tiny group of humans? What if you could build a brand new system from the ground up that actually takes the strengths of both?
And that, my friends, brings us to the hybrid solution. These are called hybrid human oracle systems, and they represent a totally new approach, one that's specifically designed to handle those messy, complex, subjective questions that just stumped all the earlier models.
So, what in the world is a hybrid human oracle system? Well, think of it as a really clever recipe with three key ingredients. You've got the speed and efficiency of algorithms, the powerful motivation of real economic incentives, and the collective wisdom of a diverse, decentralized group of human judges. It's not just a machine, and it's not just a committee, it's a whole process.
And the way this process works is honestly brilliant. You can think of it like an escalation ladder, or maybe even better, like a court system. It's designed to be super efficient, to resolve most things at the lowest, cheapest, and fastest level possible. It only escalates to the more intense stages when it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so here's how it breaks down. Step 1. Someone proposes an answer, and to show they're serious, they back it up with a financial stake, a bond. If nobody disagrees after a certain amount of time, boom, that's the answer. Done. But if someone does disagree, we hit step 2. A challenger can post an even bigger bond to escalate the dispute. If it's still not settled, then it goes to the final stage, step 3, a decentralized court like Claros, where a jury of random humans is brought in to review all the evidence and cast the final binding vote.
And here's the really wild part. That first step, it is so effective that a staggering 95% of all questions get resolved right there, automatically, without a single human ever needing to get involved. Think about that for a second. That is what makes this entire system so incredibly efficient.
So why does it work so well? What's the secret sauce? It all comes down to one simple idea. Everyone has skin in the game. The person proposing the answer, they risk losing their bond if they're wrong. The person challenging them, they risk losing their bigger bond. And even the jurors at the very end, they get rewarded for voting with the majority and penalized if they don't. This structure gives everyone a powerful financial incentive to just be honest.
But of course, no system is perfect. I mean, let's be real. This hybrid model, as innovative as it is, comes with its own unique set of trade-offs. It's a balancing act. So let's take an honest look at the pros and the cons. All right, on the plus side, its biggest strength is what we've been talking about. Its uncanny ability to handle those gray area questions that other systems just can't touch. It's also super cost-efficient and resistant to censorship. But the trade-offs are real. The whole escalation process can be slow. We're talking several days, not hours. The system itself can be pretty complex and confusing for newcomers. And at the end of the day, its quality and its ability to scale are totally dependent on the humans who serve as jurors.
And here's that speed trade-off in visual form. Look at this. A centralized team can wrap up a market in just a few hours. Even the automated systems are done in a couple of days. But the hybrid system, it can take up to a full week for those really tough cases that go all the way to the top. So what you're really doing is trading raw speed for robustness and accuracy on the questions that matter the most.
So why are we getting into all this technical detail? Why does any of this really matter? Because this isn't just about prediction markets anymore. This hybrid model, it represents a fascinating, real-world experiment in building a system for establishing truth in a totally decentralized way, without having to rely on any single central authority.
And look, this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. This system has been battle-tested. Kleros, that decentralized court we mentioned, has already handled over 10,000 disputes. That incredible 95% automatic resolution rate, that holds up in the real world. And when the human juries are called in, their decisions line up with what experts say 92% of the time. That shows a really high degree of accuracy.
In this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of the system's true power. It says, the model can effectively handle ambiguous, interpretive, or culturally dependent questions that purely algorithmic systems just can't resolve reliably. I mean, what that really means is it brings nuanced, human understanding onto the blockchain. That's a huge deal.
So, we want to leave you with this one final question to chew on. This system was built to solve a very specific problem for prediction markets. But if you have a robust, decentralized, and economically driven process for finding nuanced truth, where else could you apply it? The possibilities are just absolutely fascinating to